Welcome to PeopleSoft Now. I'm Rebekah Jackson. Over the past couple of years, we've been forced to rethink a lot in the world of HR, how to hire, retain, manage, and grow a workforce amidst intense pressure and a whole lot of change. How has that affected our customers, our PeopleSoft HCM product, and our roadmap? Let's find out. I'm excited to welcome Robbin Velayedam, the head of our PeopleSoft HCM product strategy, back to the show. Robbin, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Rebekah. Thanks for having me.
It's been a long couple of years. The pandemic has taught us a lot about being resilient and the need to be flexible, responding to the unexpected. Can you talk a little bit about how you've seen that affect our customers that run PeopleSoft HCM?
Yeah, that's right, Rebekah. You know, in HR, we typically have to deal with change. That's what keeps us busy throughout. But with the pandemic, organizations have had to find ways to adapt to the changing work climate. It's like, for example, we have employees that need to work remotely, and we have organizations that didn't handle remote workers even before the pandemic. And now they've got to find a way to handle that as a priority for their current workforce. So we've seen how the pandemic also can cause uncertainty around just the tried and true processes that we've had in HR. Like, for example, just onboarding a new hire isn't as easy as it used to be, right? With the conditions. Or now customers have to track COVID cases and vaccinations, which is something that we've never really done in HR. We had to deal with furloughs back in 2020, and some customers still have to deal with that today, and all the different tax updates from all the legislative changes. So those are just some examples of how that's really disrupted our customers' processes and really changed their priorities.
In addition to our customers, did it affect the PeopleSoft development team? Did our roadmap change?
Absolutely. You know, in fact, I think that it impacted us as a development organization similar to how it impacted our customers. We had to figure out ways to reprioritize, where we took features that had to address some of those challenges I just mentioned, and put them at a higher priority and get them into the development cycle and get them out to our customers sooner rather than later. And as a result, we had to bump other features that we had originally targeted for those images. We had to bump them out. Not that they weren't important, but they weren't as important as the features that we needed to deliver to address the pandemic. So, you know, for example, we were able to turn around some health and safety features, including the ability to track COVID cases for employees, allow for remote worker, vaccination tracking. We were able to turn those features around in a matter of months, a couple of weeks or months, instead of adding it on to the end of our roadmap. And by the time if we would do it that way, by the time we delivered, it would be too late.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're having to be nimble and shift things around, just like, you know, all of our customers are having to do with their work. I think the remote working and vaccination and test tracking that you mentioned, those are really prime examples of the need for us to be nimble and respond and get those out quickly. We ship those. What are you hearing from customers as they adopt those features?
Yeah, it's really great to see this process all take effect, where we're able to, respond to the market, deliver the feature, and then have it see our customers be successful with it and putting into their environment. So that's really great to see. Customers really love the features. And that actually is not a surprise, because our process helps us with the success of our features. It doesn't hurt that we have a diverse, large focus group that helped us with the requirements so that we didn't miss any particular use cases, but also helped us guide us through the design process, so that when we deliver the feature, there really isn't a whole lot of surprises, right? And I know one of the big things that customers really told us in the focus group is to, hey, keep it simple so that we can get it set up pretty quickly and get it deployed. And that was that was huge for us. And I think that also contributes to the success of the future.
That process is working. I have to say, I've never seen another example of a feature getting adopted faster than when we dropped that vaccine and test tracking. It was inside of a couple of days that we started hearing from customers. That's remarkable job that you and the team are doing. Another trend that's really sort of lighting up the general workforce discussions, but HR in particular, is around employee wellness. The pandemic, I think, has really brought to the fore the need for us to think broadly about physical health, mental health, employee wellness in general. What does that entail from a PeopleSoft perspective?
Yeah, employee wellness, you're right, is kind of taken front and center, right? And so what we did on the PeopleSoft side was to allow customers to do some of the more basic things that they weren't able to do or didn't even anticipate having to do until the pandemic hit. So there's a feature called Employee Wellness, which is part of PeopleSoft HR. And it allows customers to allow their employees through self-service to submit information about their, for example, vaccination status, right? COVID or otherwise, right? But obviously COVID is the main one right now. That they want their employer to know about, or in some cases, the employer needs to know about in order to allow them to return to work, right? So that's one thing you can do in employee wellness. You can also submit your test results. So in some cases, employers need to know that you have a negative COVID test before they allow you to go on an assignment or come back to the office, what have you. And then there's something that is not talked about a whole lot, but you can also in employee wellness track an employee's allergies. And for some people, and the allergies could be worse or more dangerous or more problematic than the virus, right? So just an example of how we're trying to not just capture the information that's relative today, but also things that I think have been important in the past, but we just haven't been able to address it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that employee wellness capability, it's been around for a while, right? We've enhanced it a lot to respond to the demands of the times, but it's also used by customers for exposures maybe to issues or other types of kind of on-the-job incidents, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's employee wellness. People may remember as longtime PeopleSoft customers the employee health card, but it's part of the overall employee health and safety component that we have in PeopleSoft, which allows people to go in and log incidences that may have happened, exposures to, like you said, to COVID or other things, even incidences or emergencies that may have happened, or things that could be an issue, like there's black ice on the front steps of the office building, right? So things that we can track that can get addressed before they become a problem.
Right. The things we used to talk about.
Right.
So another area that has really dominated kind of the discussion is the need to ensure our workplaces are truly inclusive and diverse. And, gender identity has been a hot topic and something we've, talked about for a while. What are we doing there?
Yeah, so you're right. Creating and fostering a culture of inclusion and recognition, that's at the top of most of our customers' list in terms of of corporate objectives or organizational objectives. And gender identity and expression, allows for employees to let the organization know, let their manager know, let their coworkers know how they would like to be addressed, right? And in PeopleSoft, customers can leverage the gender identity and inclusion feature, and it's in HR, to allow employees to identify not just their birth sex, which we all do, but also their current sex, sexual orientation, if that's necessary to track, and their gender identity, the gender that they identify with. And then PeopleSoft also allows customers to allow their employees to identify what pronoun they would like to use so that how to address address them. And that pronoun actually gets propagated in the system. So you can see it through all the different pages in PeopleSoft. So that's one way that we set up to address gender identity. And by the way, it's all configurable so that for those organizations that aren't ready to deploy it system-wide or organization-wide, they don't have to, right? So it's set up that way for our customers.
That's great. Continuing our focus on making sure that things are flexible and configurable to a wide range, of needs for all of our features.
Right.
That's great.
Right.
Now, are there other areas in the product, performance, payroll, other parts of the solution where we're kind of seeing the need to be more responsive to things evolving?
Yeah, it's funny you mention performance and payroll, because those are two areas when you think about it, there's change with tax updates on payroll, but for as long as my entire career, performance reviews have been the same, that one big review at the end of the year. But what we've seen is we're starting to see some changes. Now, we do still support the once a year performance review in our PeopleSoft ePerformance product. But we've also seen kind of over the past couple of years, a change in how customers handle performance reviews. And this is largely because of the new generation coming into the work environment. And they're used to more frequent updates. And if you think about it, I can do more, I can adjust if I know early on that I need to improve in something, right? Instead of waiting for the entire year. So that's what customers are starting to do, more frequent check-ins, as frequent as once a month, for example, checking in with the employee, documenting the conversation, even providing a little insight into what their rating is at that point. And then also being able to allow the manager to respond to something we call kudos. So throughout the year, we know managers get updates and feedback from external folks outside of the system, right? It could be a partner, it could be a customer, it could be anybody. And you want to be able to include that as part of the review. So these are all the things that are going into a whole modernization of the ePerformance product, which is coming out this year. And then I would say, since you mentioned payroll, again, you don't think of too many changes when it comes to payroll, but if you think about the gig economy and how that's impacting our customers and organizations, we fully anticipate that there will be a time when a lot of employees will be more of project-based workers or gig workers, where they would prefer to get paid when their project is done, not wait until the pay cycle comes through 2, 3, 4 weeks later, right? And so that's something that we're also working on, where we will use our tried and true and proven world-class payroll system to find a way to allow the customers to be able to pay their employees once they're done with a project.
That's great. I have to say, it's wonderful to see such a renewed focus or an accelerated focus on evolving some of these really core processes that define the workplaces and our work experience. You've covered a lot of ground. Is there anything that you want to share with our customers in closing?
Just that, we're there with them. When changes are happening, we are monitoring changes as best we can. Sometimes customers tell us about a change that happens before we find out about it, and that's fine. But we do our level best to keep up with all the changes. Keep in mind that we do have a diverse customer base. It's worldwide, right? So we have to track things that are going on all over the world, including in the U.S. and North America. And it can be a challenge, but we're there, and we do our level best to respond. So once we find out that customers are feeling the pain of something, that change that's happening, whether it's legislative driven or not, we look to see how we can address it. And our customers always respond. We always ask them to participate in our focus group. So the more they participate, the more likely whatever we deliver is going to be successful. So we're there with you, and we're tracking it. And let us know about any changes that we may not know about, but we're there with you.
Robbin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, stay tuned for your In the Know update.
It's time to keep you in the know with PeopleSoft, starting with our recent product deliverables. In December, we released FSCM Image 42. In January, we released HCM Image 41. And in February, we released Campus Solutions Image 24. We released image highlights videos for FSCM Image 42 and HCM Image 41. The PeopleSoft team delivered the following new educational assets. We delivered video feature overviews for HCM's new Gender Identity and Expression feature, as well as the new Remote Worker feature. On the FSCM side, we delivered videos for the new Digital Assistant for guest users of your PeopleSoft Supplier Portal and for the important new Match Exception Collaboration Center. And we have 2 new Spotlight training videos that discuss using Kibana with PeopleTools 859 and the infrastructure DPKs for PeopleTools 859. Keep watching the PeopleSoft blog channel to stay up to date on new PeopleSoft features and important topics. In the Application Strategy blog, you can see the hottest features, videos, podcasts, and blog posts of 2021, find out how to convert outstanding balances to installments in PeopleSoft receivables, or how to hide vaccination fields in HCM using Page and Field Configurator, as well as legislative announcements by country and much more. In the PeopleTools Technology blog, you'll find discussions on staying current on PeopleTools, a 3-part series on search and data visualizations, how to use the new external data integration feature, and the big new capabilities like auto-scaling delivered in Cloud Manager 13. Mark your calendars. The Blueprint 4D conference is coming up in June. Our PeopleSoft team is planning to be live and in person at the Blueprint 4D conference at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. For those of you that can't attend in person, the event will offer a robust virtual program, including region-specific sessions in your local time zones. Go to questoraclecommunity.org, then click on Events and Blueprint 4D to find out more. And finally, you can find all of the PeopleSoft information, videos, and more on the PeopleSoft information portal at peoplesoftinfo.com. And now, you're in the know.
Good, Sparky.